The devil! No, cried Albert. I came to Rome to see the Carnival, and I will, though I see it on stilts. Bravo! An excellent idea. We will disguise ourselves as monster pucanilos, or shepherds of the lawns, and we shall have complete success. Do your excellencies still wish for a carriage from now to Sunday morning? Parbleu, said Albert. Do you think we are going to run about on foot in the streets of Rome, like lawyers' clerks? I hasten to comply with your excellency's wishes. Only, I tell you beforehand, the carriage will cost you 6 piastres a day. And, as I am not a millionaire, like the gentleman in the next apartments, said Franz, I warn you that as I have been 4 times before at Rome, I know the prices of all the carriages. We will give you 12 piastres for today, tomorrow, and the day after, and then you will make a good profit. But excellency, said Pastrini, still striving to gain his point. Now go, returned Franz, or I shall go myself and bargain with your affettatore, who is mine also. He is an old friend of mine, who has plundered me pretty well already, and in the hope of making more out of me, he will take less a price than the one I offer you. You will lose the preference, and that will be your fault. Do not give yourselves the trouble, excellency, returned Signor Pastrini, with the smile peculiar to the Italian speculator when he confesses defeat. I will do all I can, and hope you will be satisfied. And now we understand each other. When do you wish the carriage to be here? In an hour. In an hour it will be at the door. An hour after, the vehicle was at the door. It was a hack conveyance, which was elevated to the rank of private carriage in honor of the occasion. But, in spite of its humble exterior, the young men would have thought themselves happy to have secured it for the last 3 days of the carnival. Excellency, cried the cicerone, seeing Franz approach the window. Shall I bring the carriage nearer the palace? Well, Franz says he's not a millionaire here. Fair point, fair enough, okay. But you do seem to be a man of leisure. You can take off to Rome for an extended period of time to experience the carnival. You can take a extended hunting trip to the island of Monte Cristo. I'm a little confused. I feel like there's some missing information here. I gotta be honest. Let me pull out the line that really threw me. So what's happening here? The argument with Pastrini about getting the carriages to experience Carnival continues here. Pastrini's like, no, it's impossible. Franz says that he's been to Rome 4 times before. He knows the prices of what a carriage cost, and says that, instead of what you're asking, 6 piastres a day, we're going to give you 12 for 3 days. So instead of the 18 that you're asking for all 3 days, we're going to give you 12, and you're still going to make a good profit on that. But where I get confused is when he says, now go, or I shall go and bargain with your affatore, who is mine also. Now, I did some research here on what the affettatore is, but my confusion is compounded. Even with this research and explanation, I'm still a little lost. So, an affettatore is a somewhat colloquial Italian term. Don't forget, they are in Rome, not Paris here. That is essentially a person who will broker carriages, horses, lodgings. Think of them as a sort of concierge separate from the hotel. But Pastrini is essentially the concierge for the hotel. You're talking about all these middlemen who are going between and taking their skimming off the top of, the cost of things. So what Franz is saying to Pastrini is, if you're going to charge us 6 a day, I'm just going to go directly to the guy who gets the carriages for us because I have experience knowing how much they cost. The affettatore has taken me for money in the past. So I'm not about to let that happen. Again, I'm going to go above your head, aside, cut you out of this process, Pastrini, and get the carriages for myself if you don't help us. And Pastrini's finally acquiesces and says, okay, fine, I get it. But before I did that research, I was a little bit confused. The compounded confusion I had was this vague mention of this other person. I think was it yesterday? Let me hold on. I'm going to do this in real time. Yesterday, yeah, Pastrini says that they can't get the carriage. There's only one left on the 5th floor, and that has been let to a Russian prince. Today, Franz says here that I'm not a millionaire like the gentleman in the next apartments. That is in reference to something that came up in chapter 32. Let me see if I can find that one. So going back to the penultimate episode of chapter 32, there's a sentence here. The rest of the floor was hired by a very rich gentleman who was supposed to be a Sicilian or Maltese, but the host was unable to decide which of the two nations the traveler belonged. So there's a rich gentleman on this floor that is not the Russian, because he's on the 5th floor, but it's the Russian, not this other gentleman who is being referenced in today's passage. Okay, wait, okay. I'm figuring it out. I'm ironing it out here. Today, Franz is making the reference in comparison to the man on their current floor who Pastrini hasn't been able to pin down his place of origin, Sicilian, Maltese, etc. Got it. Yesterday, Pastrini was saying you can't have a carriage because there's a Russian on the 5th floor that has taken them. Okay, this is probably so irrelevant, but I needed to smooth this out for myself to better understand this, and I should go get you know what? I'm just going to foreshadow this because I don't have the book in front of me, but I have picked up the biography again. I figured it was time to start moving more on the Dumas biography, and I'm just going to earmark this so that I can speak to it more specifically in the future. There was a chapter in the one that I'm currently reading about how Dumas wrote, and it's fascinating. It gives a whole new spin on the Auguste Maquet situation. I do wonder if it's a little bit more myth than reality, but one of the things that I'll go into later is how Dumas often wrote almost free associative, especially without punctuation, and then relied on his assistants to put the punctuation in and make sense of like poor syntax in his sentences. And I'm wondering if some of that leads to the confusion that I get from time to time in trying to hold on to the thread of what he's saying. Is that what's happening here, or is that entirely my fault? I'm not sure. Anyway, we're only at the forefront of chapter 33. This is going to be a messy one, folks. I am sorry. I hope you stick with me through it. We'll get there. Oh my God, what a long chapter. Okay, maybe do I break it into 2 parts? What does that matter? We're doing it day after day. Every day is... Oh, geez, Landon, what are you talking about? Why are you doing this on air? Okay, I'm done. I'll see you all tomorrow as we learn more about how Albert and Franz are going to experience Carnival in this humble carriage they now have. So, until tomorrow, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.